y'all, welcome back to Poplar Creek Farm. I have some food preservation to do today. My husband and I just got back. We went camping for the weekend. We went to Letchworth State Park. If you are in New York State or even like Pennsylvania and you've never been there, highly recommend it. It's amazing. It's beautiful. It's very quiet. But I'm doing a lot of preserving today and I wanted to show you guys kind of what we're doing. So I've been picking beans fairly regularly. At least once a week doing like a big picking. My parents picked some for themselves today, so this harvest is not all of the beans that I had. I had quite a few more actually. But beans are something that I'm picking a lot of frequently, so there's something I'm preserving a lot of frequently. I use a couple different preservation methods for beans. So you can make dilly beans, which is like a pickled bean, and that's great for water bath canning. So if you're not super comfortable with pressure canning, it's a great way to preserve them. That's shelf stable, that doesn't require freezer space. You can also freeze them. So what we do is we blanch them. So you boil them and then put them in boil for a few minutes, put them in cold water, and we just put them in Ziploc freezer bags, and those go right in the freezer. And they're wonderful as well. They're super crisp and like crunchy still when you pull those out, which is really nice. And then obviously there's just basic canning beans, which is using a pressure canner. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. But first, I have to do the really fun task of snapping all these beans. Buckets. So these are 5-gallon buckets of beans. It looks like they're all dragon tongue. It's just because I ran out of room in this one. But that's actually mostly green beans and dragon tongue. And then under the dragon tongue is the yellow beans. And my parents picked mostly yellow beans, so I don't have a ton of those. My parents love yellow beans. But 2 5-gallon buckets. What I'm going to do is I'm going to dump out this one on the table and then snap into that. So I will wash these after we snap them. So what I do, like this one already has the end snapped off. Most of the yellow beans oftentimes do. Snap them in half, throw them in the bucket. So for ones that still have the end on, I just snap that off, set that to the side, snap them in half, again and again. All right, so it's a little while later. When I'm canning and stuff, I just kind of do, and I don't really I'm not great about picking up the camera and intentionally, trying to film everything. But I've got the pressure canner going. It has 7 quarts of beans in this right now, and this is a very long process, especially with an electric stove. It takes forever. Now, it's not the glass top, it's the coils, but it still takes forever. These have been boiling for quite a while. Steam's starting to come up through, so it should pop up and then seal and then start getting up to pressure. But it's a long process. It's a lot of work. This is a couple hours just to can 7 quarts. So it's something that I love to do, but it's very time consuming, so I have to really set aside time. I also have some water boiling because I'm going to go ahead and blanch and freeze some because it takes so long to do 7 quarts. And I probably have enough beans for 3 rounds of this. 3, 4, probably 4 rounds. I need to blanch and freeze some. I also, on top of everything, am also working on dehydrating some basil right now. I did a big harvest of basil, so that's dehydrating. This is the time of year where it's just all hands on deck. Got to get everything done. Freezing, blanching, canning, dehydrating, all the preserving. And on top of that, not that this doesn't make a big difference, and actually it's something that I enjoy doing. I enjoy the challenge. We are going to go ahead and do another month of no groceries. We did it earlier this year. We did it in the spring, which was hard because it wasn't during garden season. I didn't have a lot of food preserved from the year before. So it made it actually more difficult, but I enjoy the challenge. So this time should actually be easier because we have so much coming out of the garden. We're probably going to start it in a week or 2. I have to do one big trip grocery shopping trip, because we're out of sugar. We're out of flour. Used it up making bread this week. And I make tons of bread. I went through 2 50-pound bags of flour in 3-4 months. So I need more flour. I need more sugar. But other than that, we're going to pretty much have stuff from our farm. I'm going to buy some pasta just because I'm not great at making pasta yet. I would love to get better, but I'm not great at it. We also will buy cheese because dairy products, we don't have dairy. We don't have a dairy animal. So I'm going to stock up on some milk. I'm going to stock up on some cheese. But then we are not buying anything for the month. That's it. Like, we'll do our one shopping trip to get some stuff that we need because we keep our shopping trips pretty minimal, so we don't have a ton of excess in the house all the time. But doing things like this help whenever we want to try to do a month without groceries. Having food preserved makes a huge difference. Although, again, we'll have a ton coming out of the garden, which will help a lot. This is what I do with the beans after I snap them. I just soak them in some water, and then we take them and we put them into like a strainer and rinse them out again before we actually preserve them. Now, this recipe I'm using for the pressure canning beans is out of the ball canning book. I have both ball canning books. I have both of these, but this is just more of a basic recipe. I also have a ton of garlic I need to work up. I've been slowly getting it worked up, but need to do more with it. So now it's about time. I'm gonna have to stare at this and watch this because as much as I'm comfortable pressure canning, I'm still very cautious and like I watch it really closely. So I'm gonna go ahead and say goodbye here so that I can watch this. The water just started boiling, so I'm gonna go ahead and blanch some beans, get them frozen, and then do it all over again. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today in this quick little preserving video. Remember, we're growing today for a better tomorrow. Please like and subscribe and join me on the next one.